We had the opportunity to visit before,
Hmm.
and I hope we have more time to visit even after this. I was absolutely stunned
Hmm.
at the state of literacy in America.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is something that you deal with every single day. How in the world did we get in the situation that we're in? And I'll preface it by saying you say there are 130 million adults unable to read a simple story to their children at the end of the day.
Yep.
How is that possible?
Listen, I, I don't know. It's so many things have happened. One, what's recently happened was COVID, right? And that changed the dynamics of how we do school. I mean, never, this is going on 30 years with me teaching. Never did I teach kindergarten, first graders, online. So that was the issue. So many of our babies are already coming to school with a deficit reading. So many of our teachers, Dr. Phil, I know I'm getting ready to be on this hot seat, but so many of our teachers do not know how to teach literacy. Many of them are learning as they go, and many of them are learning through programs of teaching literacy. So it's they do not know. It's in everything. If you go to secondary, you'll have secondary teachers. They would tell me, "Oh, I'm just a science teacher. I'm just a math teacher." And I'm thinking, okay, well, if they can't read your science experiment project or whatever, then they won't be able to do what you want them to do in that particular area. So it has been one thing after the next. COVID hit. Many of our programs are not preparing teachers to teach literacy. I've worked in higher education, and you look at the degree plan of 120 hours. You may have one literacy course, one math content course, one math science course, right? And so here it is, they get thrust into the school system. And look, Dr. Phil, we don't tell them that you may get a class of 30, and of the 30, you may have 8 to 9 to 12 kids reading on different grade levels. Because if we did that, they wouldn't stay in the profession. So we have to make it seem like it's wonderful, it's going to be okay. Then all of a sudden, we throw them in first, second, third grade, and they start calling me, Dr. Ingrid, what is going on? Half my babies can't read. And then when you talk to parents, many of our parents are leaving it up to the schools to do it all. We are our children's first teachers. You should be going into the classroom telling that teacher, this is how my child learns best. He likes to be read this way, or he likes these type of stories. But a lot of our parents are leaving it all up to the schools, and that's not working.
Well, let me ask you something. One of the things you said that just really stuck with me, and I thought you expressed it so well. I had made the comment that if you're not reading on grade level at the end of the third grade, that the risk of dropping out before graduation was 4 times normal unless you were low socioeconomic, and then it was 6 times normal. And you said there's a reason for that. I wrote the quote down and I've repeated it many times. I threatened to take credit for it when you weren't around, but I haven't yet. I've always given you credit. You said in the first, second, and third grade, we are learning to read.
Absolutely.
And from the fourth grade on, we're reading to learn.
Absolutely.
I thought that was so insightful. And I think back to my kids and to the extent I can remember myself, that is so right. Those first years, you're learning to read. It doesn't matter what you're reading, you're just learning to read the words. But then after that, you're reading to learn the content that they give you in science or math or government or whatever. And if you haven't picked up the skill, you're lost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, Dr. Phil, the teacher doesn't have time. I mean, she's got he or she has all this other information. Here it is. I'm in third grade and I absolutely need phonics. I absolutely need phonemic awareness. If I can't decode the word, how can I comprehend the text? But we don't have time because that's where we get in those reading passages, and that's when we get in those standardized tests that hit third grade. And so when that child hits third and fourth grade and he has not learned to read, he or she is struggling. A lot of the research says he or she will never catch up. It's just like we're just chasing chasing numbers.
Because the train just keeps moving faster, right? The sentences get more complex, the words have more syllables, and they're moving through the material at a more rapid pace.
Absolutely. At that point, his disposition, he or she knows that they're struggling. And that's where that behavior comes in. I'm sitting kindergarten and first grade. I learned and I did sounds and I did nursery rhymes. And, I learned a lot of things. And then here it is. I get all of this expository text, this informational text. That's when he realizes I'm not reading on grade level. And then sometimes we start getting behavior problems because then he's got to act out. Or she have to act out. And, and a lot of times people ask me, Doc, who's all affected by the child not reading on grade level? And it's everyone. The child is socially, emotionally affected, the teacher, the parents, everyone is then feeling a certain way because that child is not reading on grade level. Yeah, third grade is major. That's when we start having the behavior problems because I can't read, then I have to act out to get it off me, to get the teacher from asking me to read the passage.
Plus, that disrupts the class too.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does a parent determine that their child is falling behind in reading at home? What can you tell a parent to see if their child is falling behind and they need to do something remedial?
I hate to say this. I know I'm going to get in trouble, but I stay in trouble. Dr. Phil, the parents know. I haven't really met a parent who doesn't know that their kid is not reading on grade level. They know that it's something. The problem is now that I know that he's not reading or she's not reading on grade level, how do I go in to express to the teacher that I need help and then the teacher be able to give me support? How do I bridge this relationship? Right? How do I, how do I let that parent know that, he's not reading in a way where she can still trust me as the educator? And then how as a parent, I'm not blaming the educator because my child is not reading on grade level. I do a lot of parent literacy nights. I really hadn't met a parent who didn't really know that the baby, they all come in kindergarten. When I was a principal, oh, Miss Ingrid, my baby's reading on 20th grade level. I'm just teasing, reading on 9th grade level, right? And then all of a sudden I said, well, bring the book that he reads. And it's the same book that he's read every night as a baby. So of course he can read that book, without any problems. But then as the year progressed throughout the year, that's when they start noticing the grades and they start noticing, oh, my child is struggling on certain sounds and on the spelling test. So a lot of times they just don't know how to ask for help. And then there is a disconnect between that school and that home. I think we got to bridge relationships. A lot of times my parents, they tell me I'm scared to ask, or I don't feel like I can ask for help. That's what I'm noticing. So Dr. Phil, I hadn't really met a parent that told me they didn't know that the baby was struggling.
Really?
Oh no, they know. Dr. Phil, they know.
Do the parents know how to read?
Now, we just talked about whether the parents know how to support the kids' reading ability. That's a different thing. Do they know? Yes. Do they know how to help? That may be the question. So you asked me what I was doing tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to, the school, and I'm doing a thing called Cupcakes and Canvas. So I'm going in and I'm doing a read aloud, and then I'm giving the parents some strategies, and then we're going to draw a scene, but we're going to talk about how everything in your home could be a literacy teachable moment. And so I've been doing this all semester long, and I've had some alarming numbers, like 100 parents in one space. And I've told the schools, I love it, I got it. But I was just surprised at the number. When we first thought about doing parent literacy nights for schools, I was thinking, oh, we probably have 1 or 2 parents. Dr. Phil, the first one I did, it was standing room. I did a literacy night. So I think they know, but do they need support on how to help their children? I think that's the question.
Well, what are you teaching at Literacy Night? Are you teaching them how to teach their kid to read?
Oh, absolutely. We go to the grocery store and we see all of these labels, and we do this one activity. This is one I love. We make what we call a trash book. So what is a trash book? The students keep all the things that they've eaten or done throughout the week. And then they come back and they make a book about when they had that item. For an example, let's say they went to Buc-ee's. That's a store here in Texas, right? And they got barbecue Lay's potato chips. So then they would say, on Monday, I ate or I went to Buc-ee's and bought barbecue Lay's potato chips. They're writing a story. So I'm showing parents how to connect what they see around in their community, that those same words are also in print, right? They absolutely are walking away like, oh my gosh, I love it. And they're bringing their labels in for us to do the activity with the babies. I'm doing the strategies with the parents alongside with their child. It's absolutely, I can't wait to start doing my study, my research on what's happening. Because it's just, I don't know, maybe some people have done this before, but this is my first time doing it. I'm absolutely just loving it. But showing them the strategies.
That is so smart. How old are the kids?
We're doing elementary, middle school, and I have not done high school. So let me be real honest. So they're elementary, middle school students. Yeah. So
Okay.
they're elementary and secondary, but not high school. So we don't have any high schools in our group, but they've been mostly elementary and middle school. Yeah, but the turnout rate of the parents coming at night has just been, I'm going to be honest with you. And some of our schools, Dr. Phil, are some of our most fragile schools.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers have been just great with the turnout. So when people say in certain communities, parents won't show up, no, I can't wait to just be able to present my data and my pictures to show. And then watch this, Dr. Phil. I know I'm taking over because I talk a lot. I have so many of the schools where the daddies have showed up.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes. So don't tell me that I can't get a dad of a minority student to come up and hear me talk about literacy and how to help your child learn how to read. Oh, no. Yes, yes. Large population of daddies showing up and grandparents showing up.